This is a hard video to make. I'm gonna do a video about my dad. My dad was born in San Francisco in 1928 on February the 4th. And my mom said, it's kind of sad, this story, but he was put up for adoption on Valentine's Day. So his mom kept him for 10 days and then put him up for adoption. This is his baby picture. It looks a lot like my son Ian and Teddy when they were little. My mom said that my grandmother told the story like she went into the city to get him and came back with him like she went to get a puppy or something, it sounded like. And this is my parents' wedding photo. And my dad was accepted to Princeton Theological Seminary. He was going to be a pastor, but his dad talked him into being an engineer. And he worked for IBM. Here's the 7 of us. And this is me. My parents were really clueless to have 7 kids in his 50s and 60s in California at that time. And so, and yeah, here's one of their engagement picture. So he wasn't very good at praising us, and he was just a little, I'll tell you a funny story. We used to always go camping. They used to always take us camping, which was fun. We would go to Yosemite probably every year. Sometimes we go camping with my grandparents who lived up in the Bay Area. They lived in Hayward. My parents met at Hayward Presbyterian Church. Or did I show you that one of the? Let's see, where is it? This one. That's an engagement one. So they met at Hayward Presbyterian Church, and that's where they were married. And my dad's parents and my mom's parents lived in Hayward, California, which is in the Bay Area near San Francisco. So on a clear day, you could see from my grandparents' kitchen window, you could see the bay. San Francisco Bay. And I happen to have matches from Fisherman's Wharf. Fisherman's Grotto. Okay. So yeah, we would always go up. We would usually go north. Sometimes we went camping at Carpinteria. We went to Death Valley before. I was just saying to Alyssa Vanilla that I've been to Death Valley, but I don't really remember it, so I need to go back. But they would take us camping, and we had this rubber raft that we would take in the river, in the Merced River in Yosemite all the time, and we would take it whenever we went camping. And this is a time when, I used to watch Sesame Street, And Ernie would sing the Rubber Ducky song, you know, Rubber Ducky, you're my friend, we'll be together till the end. And so this raft that we had, it was yellow, and my dad called it his rubber ducky. So that was kind of funny. I think I had a picture of my brother and I in the raft. So, and he was usually pretty quiet, my dad was. But, hi. I'm gonna continue this video about my dad, even though it's difficult. My mom and dad had been married 59 years when my mom passed away in 2009. They got married in 1949. Here's a picture from the 90s, I think. And here's their engagement picture. But he was a little bit bipolar, and he usually denied it. And I don't know, maybe he was not actually bipolar, I don't know. But he would get manic and act like he wanted a divorce, and that's how he ended up in Boca Raton. Moved across the country from Los Angeles, and my older siblings stayed in California, and they just took me and my youngest brother. He's older than me, but he's 6 and I'm 7 of the 7 of us. My dad retired, he did woodworking. And he made this because he was just, he needed something to stay busy. He needed something to stay busy. There was a big box that I left for my daughter and the kids in the storage of all the wood things he made. He made them trucks, he made a nativity that was a music box, and this is a little giraffe I have because he made a circus train for the kids. He made like helicopter, he made all these things out of wood. And he also always sang in the choir, and he made this after that's my stepmother, and I'm sorry, this is the only copy of this I have. She played the piano on his album, and it's called Songs by the Sea. And it would have been nice to play that at his memorial. We didn't have him a memorial. He passed on September 21st, 2020. So I didn't realize until it was probably 2014, 2015, maybe even 2016, from listening to Lisa Romano and other channels on narcissism, that I realized there's other kinds of narcissists, and there's the covert type who aren't as grandiose. Like, I think even my ex and I agreed that my ex's dad is a narcissist. He's the grandiose type of narcissist that you can spot. He thinks he's all that and says that, but the way my dad was and the way my ex was very subtle. And when I realized that my ex was, I decided that probably my dad was too. But what I want to say in this video is, especially in that case, if your parent, sometimes people have cut off from their parents. If they're a malignant narcissist who have abused you your whole life, I don't blame you. But in my case, I did not. And I don't think that my kids should either. Contrary to what I believe my ex wants them to do to me, I would not tell them, I would never condone them cutting completely off from me. I would never condone them cutting completely off from him. I would leave that up to them though, but you just have to have boundaries and set limits, and especially after my mom was sort of a go-between and sort of buffered it a little bit, maybe. At times earlier on, I used to argue with my mom too, and it was just like difficult seeing both of them sometimes. But things got better with my mom when we stopped talking politics, stopped talking about things we didn't agree on. And the funny thing is now is that my politics match more closely to where she was when she passed away. So, which was interesting. And who she wanted to win won right before she passed in 2009. So I kind of was happy for her. Maybe I'll cut that part out. Yeah, I'll be editing this, and so what I'm saying is I tried my darndest to keep in touch, and even in 2014 I went to see my dad and my stepmother, and I went to church with them, and I actually sung in the choir with my dad in 2014 when I went there. And I went to see him in 2018. I hadn't been talking to him as much, and every single time when I talked to my stepmother, even myself when I talked to her and said I was coming at Thanksgiving in 2015, because I also did that. I went with my son Ian that lives here. He was on his break from college, and we went for Thanksgiving, and I had told her that I was thinking about coming, but she didn't even believe me. And then when I arrived in LA and said, you know, I was going up there for Thanksgiving, she's like, oh, we didn't know you were coming until yesterday. And I was just like, I told you I was coming weeks ago. Well, my son has to, you know, when he flies, he has to get, he can't get tickets that soon. You know, it's like, you can go on, you know, I can get a ticket out of here. You can get a ticket out of here tomorrow, you know, you can get a ticket out of here to LA tomorrow. But anyway, she just would not. And every time, and then my brother talked to her when I was there in 2018 and said, my brother and I were going to go up and it was 4th of July, but we were like, I said, tell him it's a late, we'll take him to eat for Father's Day. Tell him it's a late Father's Day thing, because I didn't usually contact him on Father's Day. And he had turned 90 in 2018, and I had sent him a card and thanked him, and then the stepmother pretended that she didn't have our phone. Oh, I can't find her number. And I'm like, it's been the same for like 10 years, you know, it hasn't changed. So now to understand the concept of a cell phone. And when my sister-in-law gave her the number, it was funny. Gave her my cell number. It said mobile number, and she's like, "Joyce gave us a number in Alabama." She was kind of entertaining. So bless her heart. But anyway, she couldn't see or hear me. It was like, I'm invisible. And so we went to see them around the 4th of July. My brother didn't end up going. He did have a really bad cold, but he didn't end up going with me. My sister-in-law went with me. Sister-in-law Joyce. I will insert that picture right here. Right here in the video. So yeah, and that was the last time I saw him. And then he passed in September. And I hadn't been out to California. Usually every single time I went to California, I would go see them. The one exception when I didn't see any of my family, I went to California for a missions trip to Mexico with the Newsboys in 2017. And I flew into San Francisco, went down to Mexico, went back to San Diego, and then flew back to Georgia. And that was the only time I didn't see any of my family. But in 2018, I was going on that missions trip again, and I arranged everything. And I went to the Switchfoot Getaway. Went to see my dad. I ticked all the boxes that year, 2018, because I knew, in 2018, I knew, because having so much loss in my family, I knew the 3 people who were going to pass away next, and I was right. And when I was right, I said, well, my dad is 90 now, so he could pass soon. So, and he was in California, so right, like I said, I went to see him 2018. And my brother Christopher was in a nursing home, and I went to see him. And yeah, he was not doing too well. And then my sister-in-law Joyce was doing pretty well. We called her the Energizer Bunny. She had been in stage 4 cancer a long time. I don't even know how long, but she had the breast cancer, and it came back several times. And she had first had it in the 90s, so for 30 years. So I was like, one of these 3 people in my family are going to pass next, and I want to go see them. So when I went to the missions trip to Mexico, to San Diego, I also saw them, and I was gone. And I left my Airbnb in the care of a friend who had been an Airbnb guest who lived in the area, and I was gone for a month. And I also went to the Switchfoot Getaway. I went and on the missions trip to Mexico with the Newsboys, and I saw my family. And I drove all the way out there in my Chevy Malibu. So 2,000 miles. It's a straight shot from Middle Georgia to San Diego. In case you're wondering. And the longest drive is through Texas, especially when it's 114 degrees. So it ended up that the youngest of the 3 was the first to pass away. My brother Christopher passed away in December of 2018. And then my dad passed away in September 2020, like I said. And then Joyce passed away when I was there. I made it to California before she passed away in my RV. and that was in January 2021. So, yeah. So, anyways, I have shared other stories about my dad on lives and stuff, and yeah, he was challenging, and but I feel my conscience is clear that, you know, I didn't mistreat him, and I tried to keep in touch. I'm not going into a lot of things, like there were just a lot of hurtful things he said to me throughout the years, and things he did. So he was a difficult person, but Dr. Romani will talk about certain narcissists that you can't or don't want to cut out of your life, and how to deal with them, and just she talks about the radical acceptance and all that. I'll put her link below. But I do hope that my family watches this video. I hope my kids watch it, just so they know. I think that a lot of what I went through with my dad will help them in getting along with their dad. Honestly, to be frank. And like I said, I would never tell my kids to cut off their father. No, I don't think so. But you do have to have boundaries, and a lot of these channels are very helpful. I'll also link Lisa A. Romano below too. So that's my video, I guess. I love you all. Wait, I'm gonna say more. I'm very thankful to God for the inheritance from my dad. And it wasn't just from my dad, it was from my mom. And I like to say that now too. It was from my mom and my dad. So, and I feel like I was just as accepting and loving towards my father as my other siblings were. Maybe even more so. They never went to church with him and sang in the choir with him. I brought the grandkids all the way across the country to see my parents. And, you know, sometimes we drove. And so that's a long drive. thousands of miles. So, yeah, that's my video. Love you all. Don't forget, pray for Red. Red will pray for you. Love you. Bye.